Hey, Coach. In regards to James, what's the plan that you guys have in place for his workload as you work him back in?
He'll be on a minutes restriction. We'll monitor that and make sure that we try to mitigate the risk as possible to get him back into play. But that's basically the plan. Similar to when Kevin returned to the industry as well.
And last thing on the injury front, could you kind of expound on the status report for Kyrie, what further tests may have shown, and how he's feeling, and Joe and his situation with the head?
Yeah, Kyrie's scans were clear. Fortunately, no concussion, nothing on the scan, so just precautionary, and not going to go tonight. And Joe is he got hit few games ago, and it's kind of deteriorated a little bit. Nothing long term, nothing that should hold him out longer, but he's going to rest tonight and try to get on top of that as well.
Greg Logan, Newsday.
Steve, is there any prognosis for Kyrie's availability on the weekend games, and do you feel it's important for the big three to get a little time together?
Yeah, he's cleared to play, so it's a matter of how comfortable he is playing, and they get that time together, that'd be great. If they don't, they don't.
Brian Lewis, New York Post.
Hey, Steve. So you said that Kyrie is, quote, cleared for the weekend. He's being held out for precautionary reasons. I mean, in James's case, how much of this is a benefit for him for his own mental state to be able to play and get some of the rust off before the playoffs start, and how much of it is you wanting to see, him on court with guys that he hasn't had a chance really to play with?
A little bit of everything. I think it's, James wants to play. I think he wants to get his rhythm and kind of prepare for the playoffs. For us, we go either way. We support him in that he's cleared to play and he wants to play. At the same time, we'd be really happy if he said, wait, another game, just in that's the lowest risk, but there is such a, there is importance in him finding his rhythm and his confidence and getting back to playing, and it's difficult to do that without game time. So I think these are the risks you have to take. And, you take a deep breath. He's done all the work, and he's cleared. He's done his high intensity loads and workouts and responded. So people smarter than I would say this is safe.
Brian Mahoney, Associated Press.
Hey, Steve, you had said it many, many times this season you weren't really in favor of Kevin playing back-to-backs. What's the decision with him?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy too if he were on the side of caution. I think Kevin really wants to play and get his rhythm and continue to get back to his best and just feel really comfortable heading to the playoffs. So, you're trying to find that balance between where the risk is, but also where they feel most confident in the playoffs. So it's one of those things where you kind of take faith in what would make them feel the best, what would make them feel in rhythm and confident and prepared, and at the same time, not risking.
Malika Andrews, ESPN.
Hey, Steve. First, is the thought, even though James is on a minutes restriction, for him to start?
We haven't decided yet, so something that we'll have to discuss.
And then secondly, I mean, for you, I know you talked about what James wants to get out of this, but in having him back and having Kevin play, I know Kyrie is out, but what's your hope that kind of comes out of tonight and then the next kind of 2 games afterward?
Well, first is that everyone remains healthy or is healthy going into the playoffs. That's the number one priority. Second, I think, is that they just get a rhythm and confidence with themselves and their game. And then third, if they can, form any sort of cohesion or speed up that process, that's great too. But, we recognize it's just there's no perfect solution here. They're not going to be totally formed and cohesive on, 1 or 2 games, but could it help? Sure. So I think more than anything, it's about them continuing to build their level and their confidence and their rhythm going into the playoffs.
Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. First, how you doing? How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well, thank you. Two questions for you, both about Mike. Number one, if I'm correct, I believe his second 10-day contract expires tomorrow. So is it basically a foregone conclusion that you guys are going to take him into the postseason with you guys, or are you guys going to vacate that spot? Like, do you have any plans or any insight that you can give on his situation?
Yeah, I can't confirm anything. I would say that front office will sit with Mike tonight or tomorrow, but we've been really happy with Mike. So I'd imagine he's going to be with us, but I can't confirm anything at this point, and those decisions will be made either tonight or tomorrow. But like I said, we've been really happy with Mike and what he's brought to the team.
Got it. And second, on Mike as well, just he seemed a little bit conflicted. I believe it was yesterday, just talking about how his role has changed from being someone who could shoulder an entire offensive load on his own overseas to now coming to Brooklyn, where you've got 3 or 4 other guys who can shoulder that load, and he doesn't necessarily need to do that himself. What have you seen from him just in terms of picking and choosing his spots, or when to be aggressive and kind of when to get everybody else involved?
Yeah, it's a big ask, to play in a different team, in a different country, league, for a different coach, different rules, to come back here and adapt quickly into a team that's has big aspirations, and it clearly has some superstars and a hierarchy already set. So, we love his talent. We love his potential. There's been some inconsistency in his play, which is really natural considering all those parameters I expressed. But, he's still been really valuable to us, and I think he's added a lot to our team. So we I think, understand that this is not an easy and straightforward situation to jump into, and he's done really well.
Tom Orsborn, San Antonio Express News.
Yeah, Steve, got a Tim Duncan question for you. Tim always had that stone face, that poker face. Did that kind of obscure, just what he was, just a really fierce competitor?
Absolutely. I think one of the things about Timmy that I don't think people appreciated how his greatness as much as maybe other guys, because he was so kind of poker faced, or he didn't want any attention. He in a sense kind of rebelled or repelled any attention. So I think in some ways he was like the antithesis of a superhero, but his game was heroic. I mean, he's one of the greatest players of all time, and an incredible competitor, teammate, winner, champion. So yeah, I think that he's very unique in that respect, not just as a player, but as a person, and how he approached the game and his personality.
Ian O'Connor, New York Post.
Welcome.
Yeah, Steve, obviously you knew a lot about Kyrie as a player when you took this job. I'm just curious, over the course of the season, did you learn something about him as a person that maybe you didn't know before you started coaching him? And if so, what would that be?
God, put me on the spot a little bit there. I don't know. He's, it's been impressive to watch him every night, and to get to know him a little more. I don't know that there's anything that I was like surprised by. I think I knew him well enough, and had followed his career, or known him enough to kind of to expect, what I experienced every day. So nothing really different or notable in his personality that I wasn't expecting.
Last question, Michael Grady.
On the challenge tonight, Coach, what are some things you respect most about a Greg Popovich coach team?
Well, they don't beat themselves. They always find a way to stay in games and compete. He's obviously one of the greatest coaches of all time, and so he's so they have that matchup won tonight. But we'll see if we can make up for the deficiency on the sidelines there, and have a good, sharp performance and compete, even though we're down a couple guys. And it's a different look with a back-to-back and some of our guys playing, James re-entering the team. If we can just have some scrap and some grit and heart and stay in this game and see if we got a chance to win it.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Okay, you got it. Thanks, everybody.